Yeah, no matter what, I ain't never gave up. Came close, devil tried, do the most. Can't nobody block me from my destiny. They try to block me, dog. Gotta keep the faith, I know he testing me. Made it through the fire, now I'm living proof. Said I made it through the fire, now I'm living proof. Haters taking shots, but I'm bulletproof. Whoa.
Do jujitsu, and the advice that he gave me has stuck with me. And it was just this lightning bolt. What he had told me was, I don't know if you can do this or not, but you're going to have to find a way to take your disadvantages and make them your advantages. And that was just, I mean, honestly, that was probably the best thing that anyone could have told me at that time.
Simple message, powerful words, though.
And it was just, and I had some really, and I still do, I have some really good training partners that help figure all this stuff out. It was, I just couldn't wait to get back into the gym. It was so fun to figure out how I'm going to do certain things and what works best for me to be in what position and what side. And, it was, and even my training partners would come and be like, hey, I was thinking about this from Tuesday that, hey, why don't you try to get into this position and try, like this submission. And it was a project, and it was a whole group project of figuring out how I was going to do jujitsu. And I just really appreciated that time. And I really grew as a martial artist and even just a person. It was awesome. And from there, I was a white belt, and then I got my blue belt, and I did a tournament in Denver, and I got third place. And I was so excited. I was so pumped. I never really did when I was in MMA. I never did like jiu-jitsu tournaments or grappling tournaments. So this was one of the first ones that I've done, and put it on Instagram, and it kind of went viral. A lot of people had seen it. I had a friend of mine told me, he's like, hey, you need to get a hold of this guy named Ronald Mann. He's trying to start a United States para jiu-jitsu team. And so I knew who Ronald Mann was because he had done an MMA fight as an amputee. And it was really cool to finally get to meet this guy. Because I seen there was a picture that was going around the internet, and it was this amputee who won his fight, and supposedly no one knew he was an amputee. Like the commission didn't know he was an amputee until after he won his fight. He takes his leg off and raises it over his head, and like I don't know, that picture of him is just like burnt in my memory. So like I knew who Ronald Mann was, and now we're talking, and he wants to know if I can meet him in LA in September. There's going to be a big jiu-jitsu tournament. It's the UAEJJF, United Arab Emirates Jiu-Jitsu Federation, and they're starting to have a para division. And it was just, I was like, yeah, I definitely I want to go. And what was really cool is that someone had sponsored an Airbnb, and we got this Airbnb, and all of the people who could make it, there were 13 of us, I believe, 12 or 13 of us total para grapplers, and we all met in LA, and it was amazing. Then we got to meet all the Brazilians, and we got to meet people from all over the world.
So you got to meet a lot of different people, huh? You were saying you got to meet a lot of Brazilians in that
Yeah,
tournament.
the Brazilian team, they always show out anytime that they come to these. The para Professor Elcerle Silva, he is kind of the one who started it. Him and Professor Mario Cowboy, they were the first two to go to Abu Dhabi and compete. They were amputees, but they were competing in the able-bodied division, and people had seen that they were amputees, and they came up with this whole adaptive para division, and it was just really, it was really cool to meet all these different athletes from all over the world of all different abilities. And from there, I went to the following year in LA. Then it went to London, and then I got on a US team and went to Sweden, which was an amazing experience. That was through the JJIF, and we competed. I competed able-bodied and the para division there. We went on to Abu Dhabi, and then 2 years ago went to Saudi Arabia, and then flew on to Abu Dhabi. And then last year I went to Abu Dhabi. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey through all of this, meeting all these different people from all these different countries, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, man, that sounds like it. It's definitely something I've wanted to get into. Somebody had brought up the U.S. para team to me before, but I wasn't at the time. I didn't have a stable training situation. I think I've got it figured out now. Also, I didn't know much about it, but in talking to you, it's definitely something I'm intrigued in. And I think I want to join and be a part of it because that's exactly what I want to do. That's what I feel like my purpose is to help spread the message of the adaptive community and help showcase our capabilities.
Yeah, and I just I got my black belt in 2024, and
Congratulations.
thank you. And it's something where I want to. I had surgery this last July on my knee, and I'm kind of in this transition from being a competitor and into really focusing on being a coach and helping these athletes being able to kind of like navigate funding for it, because I think a lot of people when they hear like, hey, we're going to go to Abu Dhabi, they think it's crazy expensive. To be honest, my plane ticket was $750. Hotels were about $500, and then some spending money. So you're looking at about $2,000. And all of that was paid through sponsorships. When I was an amateur fighter, that's one thing that we really tried to get were sponsorships. And I just kind of translated that from MMA into jiu-jitsu. And that's what I kind of want to help with as well, as just kind of help navigate that process. I am the president of the United States Para Jiu-Jitsu organization, and one thing that I would really like to do, and we're talking about how we can make all this happen, but get some corporate sponsorships, and so we can actually develop a team and look like a team and show up as a team.
That's awesome. I may be able to help some. I'm looking into stuff like that too, because I've told you I'm starting my own promotion for adaptive athletes, but I want it to eventually be all combat sports. But right now we're starting with jiu-jitsu. The first event is going to be March 7th here locally, and I want you to be a part of it somehow, some way, in some capacity. I don't care what capacity. I want you to be a part of it. I've said I want to compete a lot this year. So that's something with the sponsorship thing. That's something
Yeah,
I'm trying to help our athletes that are going to compete in Adapt for Combat on March 7th. I'm trying to help them figure out sponsorships as well because, as you know, a lot of us are on a limited budget.
yeah,
So, and I understand taking sponsorships just like you did for MMA. That's how I was able to compete at the Rolls Ruthie Invitational, which was an invitational tournament for the athletes in Alabama, hosted by the Roots Foundations. Great people. If you haven't seen my episode with them, people, please check them out. They're awesome people. I know I've put you in contact with them, so I'm sure you'll be able to come up with some stuff, and I'm willing to help in whatever capacity I can, because that's something I want to help adaptive athletes navigate too, is getting sponsorships and how to cover their bases when it comes to being able to travel and all the amenities it takes to be an athlete, because I want us to be treated like true pro athletes, you know?
yeah. And all of the traveling that I've done has been zero out of pocket. Everywhere that I've gone has been all sponsorship funded.
That's awesome.
I think too, it's well, for one, you can't get discouraged. I would get a little bit upset when someone would tell me no, but all it takes is one yes. And once you get one sponsor, it's so much easier to get the second. And just starting the conversation, I would kind of open up with, have you ever sponsored an adaptive athlete? And a lot of times people don't even know like what an adaptive athlete is. And so it starts the conversation, and then you can explain, who you are and what you're doing and what you're hoping to achieve.
Yep. That's exactly what I did when I was looking for sponsorships for the first when I went and did the Rolls for Ruthie tournament. It's like I put it out there on social media. Luckily, I have a decent following here locally, so most people knew, but I also went around to people that I didn't know and kind of did that. Introduced myself, explained what I was doing and my story and how what like the goal I was trying to achieve. And it really helped.
Yeah. And I mean, at the very least, you start the conversation. They may not be in a place to help with sponsorship, but they may know someone who is. That conversation gets started. And I found another thing that helped me was to have a tier, a sponsorship tiers. So you have it already in place, a platinum, gold, silver, and bronze tier. I also believe that sponsorships are a two-way street. You help me and I'll help you.
That's exactly what it is.
What you're going to give them for whatever price that you have per tier. So you can get really creative with it. And, I would also look at what I would use daily in my training. I look at my gi, my gi sponsor, at my gi, try to get a gi company to sponsor me, looking at the supplements that I would use, looking at anything and everything that I would use in a typical day. And even if it was just product they were giving me, that was money that I didn't have to spend on it. So there's a lot of different ways to go about sponsorships for sure.
Right, exactly. That's what I did as I actually this me doing the sponsorships for Rolls for Ruthie, all I did was I think I did $100 and like people got to put their logo on my shirt and I took pictures with them and all that. And I sold shirts. That was it. But for Adapt for Combat, we have a tier list set up already. The next time I go to compete outside of Adapt for Combat, I'm gonna have a tier list for me as an athlete. That way I can have sponsorship set up. So exactly. So you're exactly right. That's the exact path you want to take. And like you never know who you're gonna get. You never know who your story is gonna reach.
Yeah.
Like you said, all it takes is getting one, starting the conversation, and then you get one, and from there it's.
And then the way I look at it is, a $50 sponsorship, you get five of those. That's half of your hotel paid for, and just it's kind of uncharted territory too. You know what I'm saying is that this adaptive athlete, a lot of people they haven't heard about adaptive athletes, and especially within the martial art community. This is all kind of a new thing, which I'm really excited about. Bringing in, the ultimate goal is to get jiu-jitsu into the Paralympics, and I think that this is a really good way to, again, start those conversations.
Like you said, you're right. That's one way to start the conversations. Like if y'all haven't listened to my episode with Miss Amanda Peepgrass from Amanda's Adaptive Martial Arts, that's something that she said was one of her goals because her organization deals with adaptive athletes every day, training in every martial art or as many as martial arts as they can. I think they do jujitsu, kickboxing, taekwondo, and they do one more, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. So she understands it. And she said one of the things that the Paralympic Committee was telling them is like they feel like, it's dangerous, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I understand that, but so do they. So
Exactly.
it takes people to advocate for that. So I think everybody that's in the adaptive community that sees it and wants it to be in the Paralympics, if we all come together, I mean, if there's multiple voices saying it and attacking it from different levels, they're gonna take notice.
And that's what I think is so funny. You've got able-bodied people trying to tell us what's safe or what's not safe. And regardless if they think it's safe or not, we're still doing it. Like we're still going to do it. I still go to the gym every day, regardless if the United, like the Paralympic Committee doesn't deem it safe. It doesn't matter it's for one. I don't know. It blows me away when you've got able-bodied people trying to make decisions for people of different abilities.
Right, yeah, it's wild to me. I know one of my grappling matches, my first ever like public grappling match, like super fight, I guess you could call it. I don't really like that term, but for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
my first super fight happened on an MMA card because one of my teammates, who's a brother to me, was fighting, and I wanted to fight on that card. Plus, it was a local card, so I knew the promoters and stuff. I knew them a little bit. I didn't know them as well as I do now, but I knew another local guy that had the same disability I do, cerebral palsy, and he had reached out to me and said if I needed an opponent, he would be down. So I reached out to the matchmaker, and I'm like, look, I said, I know what I'm asking. I'm making the same decision that everybody else on the same card is making. I'm signing the waiver. I was like, I'm just looking for an opportunity, and I knew they wasn't gonna let us fight MMA, so I said we'll do grappling. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, can't argue with that. So that's how I ended up getting a couple super matches on a local MMA stage, which was
Yeah.
awesome. And that's what it takes, is those people reaching out and saying, "Hey, look, we know what we're asking. All we want is the opportunity."
Yeah. Because
And
regardless, at the end of the day, I'm still doing it.
yeah,
It's
exactly. It's so funny to me. I tell people who are like, man, I don't see how you do it with your condition. I'm like, bro, I get hurt more falling walking out of my house than I do doing jujitsu. Like it's plus when I first tried to fight MMA, one of the promotions I tried to fight for, they fought for me to get my fight. So I eventually did get the fight, but I did have to jump through a lot of hoops at first. And so they wanted me to go get cleared by a bunch of doctors, and a bunch of the doctors that they wanted me to go get cleared by, like the type of doctor they wanted me to go get cleared by, I had already had a bunch of dealings with. Like they wanted me my regular physician, they wanted me to go to a neurologist, they wanted me to go to a couple more, a bone doctor, something like that. So I went to a couple of them that I already been to, and they were like, "Yeah, of course you can, because if you wasn't doing it, you'd be worse off anyway. So why not?"
well, and I try to box here in Colorado, and the commission would not allow me to do it. There was another below the knee amputee that he tried to box here in Colorado too, and they wouldn't allow it. And we're so close to Wyoming that he actually went to Wyoming and boxed. But again, it's so new that they just don't know how to react to it, or they really don't want to go outside of the box at all in any way, shape. And
Right.
it's kind of sad that they're more hesitant to like not do it than be like, wow, this is groundbreaking. Like, why not be one of the first states to?
Fully license it and sanction.
Yep. They did in Texas a long time ago. There was a promotion. It was like Amputee Boxing Association or something like that, and
Mhm.
they had the whole card were amputees.
Wow.
Which was pretty cool. I think they did a couple shows, but for whatever reason, it just didn't continue on.
Right. And that's another thing, is like you have these short bursts of like, oh yeah, we had one or two shows. It's gonna take consistency and long and to get to the, I guess flow would be the best word, to the consistent flow of events and opportunities to keep it going. You
Yeah,
can't do one or two and then just stop all of a sudden,
and,
because
and
then that slows down the momentum.
I think too, it's even the percentage of able-bodied people that do martial arts is pretty low, and then you try to throw a disability on top of that, it's even smaller numbers.
Yep, yep.
Uh,
The minority of the minority of the minority.
and a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't, I don't even know the right way to say this, but like they don't believe in themselves enough, or they've been told something for such a long time that they don't think that they can do it. So many times, with my nonprofit, people to come in and do a boxing class, and I'll hear like, oh, I can't do that because I'm handicapped, or I can't do that because I'm disabled. And the way I look at it is like the only disability that you have right now is a bad attitude. It has nothing to do with your physical ability. When I was over in the Middle East doing our competitions, they had interviewed the British and the Americans, and they were saying like, in their language, they don't have a word for handicapped or disability. They say people of determination. And I was just like, man, we need to bring that back to the United States, because so many times people try to say, oh, I can't do something because I'm handicapped. I can't do this because I'm disabled. But it is so hard. You cannot say I can't do this because I'm a person of determination. It all starts with language. It starts with that verbiage. And if we can change the way that we speak, it will change the way that we feel that like what we were able to accomplish.
Yep, you're exactly right. I love that people of determination that it keeps you from being negative. Because, like you said, people hear no or something negative so many times that they start to believe it. I've fallen victim to it before, but I've always been able to pull myself out because I've had a great. I wanted to say this too earlier. A lot of what we have gone through, me and you both, we haven't been through. Like we haven't been through the exact same thing. There's a lot of similarities, and there's been a lot of similarities between all the guests that I've had on. But one of the things that seems to be a common denominator is a great support system.
Yeah.
Because people, like we were talking about, people here know so many times that they start to believe it. But like I said, I've fallen victim to it before. But the way I pulled myself out was because I have a great support system that always said, nah, you can. You just got to find your own way to do it.
Yep.
And so now it's gotten to the point where it's like, I've been like, all right, they said no. So let me see if I can flip it this way. Or I can't do it that way. So let me pivot, switch it around to go to this way.
Yep.
Like, I'm going to find a way to get my goals done one way or another.
Like I think a huge part of my support system is obviously my family, my wife, two daughters, but it was the gym as well.
Right. Exactly.
It was probably like the closest thing that I can compare to being in the military. That camaraderie, and I highly advise like any of your listeners that they have a different ability, or even just being depressed or lonely or whatever. Like go find a gym, go find a martial arts gym, and it will change your life for sure.
It definitely will. Man, I'm a huge advocate for martial arts gyms because once I got out of high school and stopped wrestling, I knew that this is what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how much it meant to me until I couldn't do it for a while. Like you said, if you're depressed, it helps because there was times where I've been majorly depressed, and as soon as I step back on the mat, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I can't go without training for too long because I start to get that negative mindset. And you're right, the camaraderie is there. Like I wouldn't be where I am without my team. Like I love my teammates out at Rush. They've made me into a better jiu-jitsu athlete. Not only that, but a better person. Everybody there always pushes, and that's the great thing. Like, yeah, it ain't easy,
Yeah.
but that push is exactly what you need.
Yeah, it's not easy to get up early. It's not easy to stay up late, and do all these things. And I turned 51 in September, and it's definitely the recovery is not the same as being in my mid 30s. You got to pick your heart. And it's hard to go to the gym, but it's also hard to sit around and watch TV and do nothing. It's someone had told me that before, like pick your heart, because it's all hard.
Yep, exactly. That I'm the same way. It's like like you said, pick your hard. I'd rather have the hard of going like the strength and conditioning gym I go to is right around the corner from my house. Some days I walk down. I use my canes and I walk down. That's hard, but it's also hard for my legs to be stiff and all from me not doing them. So I'm gonna choose the hard of walking to the gym and getting that workout in.
Right. That's right.
Then rather than sit here and be not healthy.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what it takes, and that's what I want to be, and that's what I'm glad you are with your organization and everything you've done. We're trying to be advocates for those people who feel like they can't.
And to show them that it's possible,
Yeah,
it's possible, but you definitely are gonna have to put some work in. And I think that there's a formula for sure, and it starts with hard work and a good support group and the willingness to continue on, because there's going to be some failures in there as well. There's going to be some setbacks. There's going to be some things that are going to make you want to quit. But that's life.
setbacks are inevitable. There's been major ups and downs in my career. Like I can't tell you how many nights I've spent after a rough training day or not training day and been like, why me? And cried about it for a little bit. Then I get back up and I find a different way to make it happen. And that's what we're here. Like the people that have it, if they have outlets like us or their gym, like they can have people to help them navigate that. And that's what it's gonna take is enough voices for people to and enough outlets for people to come to. That's what I want Adapt for Combat to be. Like I want it to be the place where, like you said, a lot of people don't know about adaptive combat sports. But that's what I want my promotion to be. I want it to be the place for adaptive combat sports. I want it to be the go-to spot.
Yep. And one thing that I've noticed is that it instills confidence.
For sure.
It instills confidence that there's no other way to get it other than to do it. And I learned a statistic right after I lost my leg that just it blew me away. I couldn't believe it. Was in the United States, people with disabilities are 3 times more likely to be attacked than able-bodied people. I started to look at that though as that's not really an ability issue, that's a confidence issue in my opinion. And unfortunately, a lot of people that have a disability aren't very confident. And that's why I have Be Bold, and that's why I want to help people, like find that confidence.
Exactly, because once you get that confidence, there's not much you can't. I agree with you 100%. I've always looked at that too, the statistics on it, but I always felt like, if somebody was to attack me, I might be an easy target. But ever since I've been doing, martial arts and jiu-jitsu, it's like, nah, I'm good. And that comes from the confidence of doing.
And the people that are looking to take advantage, they want an easy target. They don't want somebody that may fight back. They don't want somebody who may look like, they have confidence or so yeah, and
Ability,
yep, and
confidence or ability.
that's what I believe that martial arts helps instill that into people.
Absolutely. Man, Rustin, it's been an honor to have you on, man. We definitely got to talk more. We'll definitely be in touch. Tell the people where they can find Be Bold and how to get in touch and contact.
So we are in Fort Collins, Colorado at Trials MMA. We're also on Instagram at Be Bold, and that's 2 B's, BBOLD underscore adaptive underscore living. On Facebook, just under B dash bold. Or you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn under Rustin Hughes.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna definitely leave links to all of his information. You guys definitely need to check him out. Adapt for Combat 1 coming soon, March 7th. We have the sponsorships out now. The sponsorship tier list is out now. Check out the website, adapt, the number 4, combat.com. Get in touch with us if you would like to sponsor or know an athlete that wants to get involved. Rustin, man, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you.
No,
We'll
thank you.
definitely talk some more. We'll have you back on for sure.
Sounds good. Awesome. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. No problem. Later, people.